Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Gears Perspectives with me, Waldo. I am here with MLG Columbus predictions for Gears of War that's happening this weekend. Um, Kind of a little bit of a harder tournament to do. They're running best of three all the way until you get to winner semis, and then just in the losers bracket, finals and the finals, and then like the grand finals are like best of fives. So in the tournament scheme, this is going to be literally coming down to who shows up on the maps. Comes out to map picks, and a single mistake is actually going to cost someone this tournament. Just going over the bracket, what I think is capable after I was able to search through the rosters for about 4 hours yesterday and figure out most of these teams. I have a pretty good feel about what I think could happen at this event. I will call out some upsets. I'm going to go over that. This is going to be a longer video, but there are going to be some predictions. I'm going to stop and talk about certain teams, certain aspects of where I think certain teams can shine and where certain teams may have some hard roads ahead. I do have to say, I think the top half of this bracket is a little bit easier than the lower half, but that usually how that goes just based on how brackets are made. So we're going to hop right into this one, and I'm kind of just going to go through this in a longer sense of the video than just kind of hit it match by match, make multiple videos. I can just do it in one and we'll be good to go. Okay, so here's where we're going to start out. So this is the bracket according to, which I'll bring over here. This is the 32 teams, or the 30 teams. They had two teams that weren't able to come and compete. They didn't fill the spot, so there are 30 teams. So Denial and Envious are automatically going to get a bye. And that is the way that that is going to work for them. And then the rosters, teams have picked up sponsors and team names, so some of these things are not accurate on here. There's the four teams I couldn't get were like in the bottom half. I just couldn't find any information on them. I'm sure that the information exists because I was informed that the rosters were sent out about 5 days ago. So I, of course, not competing, don't actually have access to that. All right. So, first round, there are some halfway decent teams that we're looking at. I have the team rosters next to me. Sorrow Flush 7 is made of Ninjutsu, Dolos, Raymond, and Reese. Haven't seen them ever compete, but they're also competing against Chrome, J-Rely, Trauma, and Mew. No information about this one. I'm going on the hunch. I'm just going to give it to Royal Flush 7 on that one. Again, this is going to be teams that I have not watched compete, so some of you guys may be a little off about it. My apologies. It's just the way that the bracket works out. Someone's got to win, someone's got to lose. It can go either way. Essentially, if I'm saying 2-1, I can see it going either way. That's my logic on this one. It's a coin flip system. It's who shows up. It's E6 versus Severity. I gave them the 2-0. They're going to move on. PR and the Funky Bunch, which is PR, Letnik, Schmeh, versus Vex, who is over here. Domes, Detox, Neglects, and Hooligan. I think this is some of these players' first run at a LAN. I think PR and Letnik have a lot of LAN experience in themselves. I think that they can hold it together. We'll see what they do on LAN. I called an upset, but I can also see Vex winning this one as well. It's just the way that it goes. Goons is going to be Drix's team, which is now exiled. So it's Drix, Rayzilla, Franco, and Summons. This is a very stacked roster. There's a lot of LAN experience. I think I saw Frank KO play at Hype Winter Brawl 9, and I was very impressed with his performance in Gears 3. He hasn't had as much of an opportunity in UE, but he is here on the LAN. Drix is a good in-game leader, played with Juju for a lot of years. I can see a good, run here out of the tournament. See how they do. I think that they can beat the Natural Talent team because I don't think I had the roster for them. Did I? No, I didn't have a roster for them. So I'm going to give the 2-0 to Goons on that one. I think this is a potential top team. Just based on roster and based on land history and the bracket's going to go, I think that they could place top 4 or top 8, not top 4. Let's see. A1 versus Overdose. I gave it to A1. Anyways, is Craze damage points diligent 40. And Overdose Visions is Atrocity, Pablo, Insane Bot, and Pow. Literally comes down to who shows up. Elevate and Carnage. I think this is another potential upset in the first round. Carnage is made up of Juju Beans, Desolator, Applicates, and Proxus. 3 of those players have played on land before. Land is a completely different beast in all terms of it. Some people don't write it off as that. If it's your first event, you do have land jitters, and that's something that has to be accounted for. Some people may not write it off, but I would say 9 times out of 10 that it can affect the overall performance of the team at land. So we'll see how that plays out for them as well. Like I said, Elevate, this is Strangulate's team. He's playing with 3 GB kids that have never competed on the land, to my knowledge. There have been times where GB kids have come on in LAN events and shown up great. Not sure how this is going to work out. I can foresee them winning, but I can also see Carnage upsetting them. Veteran leadership that Juju has, he may be able to turn those guys around and pull up an upset here. When I originally did the bracket, I did call an upset, but going over again this morning, I was like, Elevate's probably got some better roster. Could happen. So we're going to look True Ambition and ATG. True Ambition is in Nunez, Raindrops, Genesis, and Ivan A-Rod. Pretty solid team. Genesis is a Galwan sniping god. Nunez can hold his own. What else was I saying there? I haven't seen Raindrops and Ivan play, but, this is a decent team. I think they'll do pretty good. They're competing against Energetics, Munchies, Vader, and Febreze. I think that they can win that one. It'll be close, probably a 2-1. Envious, bye. Then we go to No Name Noobs, which is Bobby Rice, Chubbs, Finagler, and Baird. These guys are veterans of the scene. They've played around. Bobby Rice has competed at a ton of events. Chubbs has won 1 event. Very good all-around player. I think that's a pretty decent team. They can probably make a pretty good run, but the problem is they have Envious in the second round, which is kind of a emotional killer. Unlucky bracket. Then we're going to go down Lethal Gaming versus Render Esports. Render Esports, I found, is out of Arizona. They got 3 players. I think this is their first LAN event that I know of. I don't know of any. I live in Arizona, and I don't know any local LANs that have been going on. Lethal Gaming is Mentz's team, who is made up of wherever they're up top. Mentz Rushies, which Decline, which is Declinates, I believe, and Strafey. Pretty decent roster, pretty solid. They were played enough on the GB ladder that they were 7 on the seeds, so they've got a pretty decent spot. They're facing Render. I say it's going to be a 2-1. I think that it probably could be a 2-0, but I've never seen Render play. But I gave him the benefit of doubt, gave him 1 round. TMG Esports is Starbright's team with Void. Let me see. No, wrong team. Void was on this team. So Starbright's trying to push me Gambler and Phillies. Gambler played on Noble at the beginning of Gao UE. Decent sniper player. You've also, got Starbright, who is a character within the scene. If you guys don't know who he is, just look up some back history. Not a favorite person in the scene, but he's good at the game, and that's pretty much all that matters on that. I think that Lethal Gaming I think TMG will beat this human instrumentality project. I'm just going to call him HIP. I have no idea who's on the roster. I'm going to give that to TMG just based off that. Dream Team, in our own words, Dream Team is Kyle, Tommy, Icy, and Demo. Uh, let's just be real. That is a very stacked roster of very good players. Demo is very mechanically strong. Icy is very mechanically strong, and also placed top 4 in the Pro League. Tommy is very strong, placed top 4 in the Pro League. Demo was on another team. Kyle didn't show up in the finals, but Kyle has been known to has been a very good player for years. We'll see if he can redeem himself on this LAN. It comes down to it. That's a pretty stacked roster. That team could probably place top 3, top 4. Just depends on how it goes, but they've got a lower half bracket that is pretty stacked. So we'll get into that here in a minute. TK versus Vanquish. Vanquish is NJ Cubano's team. Just on raw talent, I'm not gonna, even though that is Cubano's original team is raw talent, I'm not gonna hate on it. I'm not gonna disagree with it. Cubano thinks they can win. I'm not 100% sure on that. I think that it can go either way, but I'm pretty sure. I think Team Caliber has a much better team in Crush Modes, J Ribs, Noxious, and Fatal Strike. Now, I will say this, that these are 2 veteran teams in at least leadership. Fatal's been around for a long time. He's been a community influencer. He's had a very good run in his last land, which was MES. But at the same time, you also have to look at the other 2 players on his team. Noxious is a god on LAN. It doesn't matter what happens. Noxious will pull amazing plays out of nowhere and do an amazing job. Ribs has been one of the most mechanically strong movement players since Scout 3. Also very smart. And then you've got Crushmo, who I love Crushmo to death. He's my Canadian homeboy. I think Crushmo is very talented, and him being on a good team, I think that he could do it. Crushmo placed, I think they placed top 8 at Hype 4, if I'm remembering right. So I'm going to give that Team Caliber. Strictly Business and Most Wanted eSports. I'm going to give it to Strictly Business just because of the roster. Strictly Business is Jake, or Nasty, Yogurt, Excels, and Wingos. Now, of that team, there are a bunch of strengths that don't have a lot of weaknesses. They are a very momentum-based team. Jake and Nasty have played on Synergy for years together. I think this is their first duo back on a team on LAN, because Yogurt had been playing on Vex earlier in the season. Jake is very good. I know you cannot count Jake out on LAN. It's happened a couple times where people think that Jake weren't going to do anything. Jake showed up with a pickup team with Obey Drix at MES and made a massive run towards the finals. Did a really good job there. Nasty is just a factor that you cannot do. If he catches on even a little bit of fire and catches a little bit of momentum, he will do things that make your team cry. He will pull out clutch plays. He will make plays. He may be a little reckless at times, but he will at least give his team the opportunity for the win. Most Wanted is Void, Anthony Monster, and Scrimmage. I think that they can do pretty decently well. They may be able to take a map, but I'm going to give the 2-0 to Strictly Business based off that. So we're going to get to the second round, and this is where this is going to start to get a little bit more interesting. We'll blow blowing the wrong thing up. So we're going to go right here. Okay, so the top half of the bracket, we have Enemy versus Royal Flush 7. That should be an easy 2-0 for them. Royal Flush 7 doesn't have anybody of recollection that I have. Royal Flush 7. Like I said, it's Nujinsu, Dolos, Raymond, and Reese. This is Lava Mental, Kenny, and Gilbert, who's explosives. I don't see a reason they don't 2-0. And they have Ashes as well, so I don't think that that'll be really hard. PR and the Funky Bunches versus E6, which is Hudson's, Affinity, Eternity, and Poseidon. I gave them the 2 over PR and the Funky Bunch. I like PR, but in Logic States, this is just a much better team. Goons versus A1. I'm going to give it over to Drix, even though A1, I gave them, it's going to be, it can go either way on this one. I think Goons will take it, just based off talent and the roster. Elevate versus True Ambition, which is a Nunez team. If they come out of the first round and they beat Carnage, I think that they could beat Ambition. We'll see how that goes. Again, this is a team that has a lot of LAN experience, a lot of LAN history. Envious versus No Name Noobs. As much as I love the guys that are playing here, I can't see them taking a map off Envy, but you never know. Sometimes Envy sleeps, but Envy only dropped 1 map when they were at Gfinity. So that is a huge factor, actually, in my deciding factor of who wins this tournament, because Envious is up on LAN experience more recently than other players. You're going to look at Lethal Gaming versus TMG. I'm going to give it to Mentz. I've seen Mentz beat Starbrights on LAN before. I think that his team is capable of doing this. I think it'll be close, but I'm going to give the 2-1 over to Lethal Gaming. And this is the bot half of the bracket. I think Dream Team will beat Bot Empire. It's Lansing's Lens, Vicasso, and Trocious. I think that Dream Team should pretty handily win that 2-0. They may be able to take a map, but again, not where we're going to focus on. This is the map in the second round that should be on stream, period, no matter what happens. If this is not, I'd be very disappointed. These are 2 of the top 8 teams competing in the second round the way the bracket fell together. This is Team Caliber, Strictly Business. This is Jake's team versus Fatal's team. Now, there was a lot of debate on Twitter yesterday with Demo because it's the argument. Doesn't think that Fatal Strike's very good. Thinks Fatal Strike is probably washed. I disagree with that fact. I think Fatal is a very good team in-game leader. I think Fatal has a lot of strengths in shot calling, and his mechanics have gotten better and better over UE. So I think that he can actually win this. Now, that does not exclude why this is so close. This matchup on itself is strictly down to maps and who plays better. Thinking about what maps I probably would see, I would hope to God that I don't see Mansion. I would hope that they play something that they can actually team fight on and do a little bit more strategy. I would say I would hope to see Gridlock, War Machine, and probably Clock Tower over Fuel Depot, Mansion, and a missing one. I think there's 6 maps. I can't remember where the 6th map is, but it's not super relevant in that fact. I think that's the way it should go. I don't think that they play Fuel Depot. I don't think that they play Mansion. If they do, it's a slaughter fest, and you kind of don't want to take it to that level. I don't think anybody wants to play Mansion for the bread on this one. I think you actually want to outplay your opponent. Strictly Business is Jake's team with Yogurt, XLs, and Wingos. They can play anywhere. They can use power weapons. Wingos was a power weapon player for many years. Yogurt is very supportive, but Yogurt can go off when he needs to. It's going to come down to map. It's going to literally come down. This is the one team that's not going to make it in the... Like, one of these teams is going to go in the loser's bracket, and they're going to make a big run for it. So it's not a bad thing to lose your first match in the winner's bracket. Loser's bracket's not terrible for you when you go down there, at least. Not for a while. So you can make a pretty decent run to try to make top 8 through the lower half of the bracket. I gave it to Strictly Business. Jake's LAN experience just based off wins. Jake and Yogurt have won more events together. I think that they can pull it out. Not that I don't think that it can go either way. Coin flip on that one. Back up to the top. Enemy versus E6. I'm going to give it over to the Enemy. Again, now this is where the bracket starts getting really tense because it's best of 3. So it's not even down. It's down to maps and who shows up in side control. It's going to be like this entire rest of the bracket. It's a coin flip. Like, either team can win It's 2-1s across the board. I don't think that there's going to be a 2-0 clean through the rest of the tournament. I really don't. I'm going to give it over to the enemy just because they've been a top two team since forever. So I'm going to give the odds over to them. You're looking at Goons versus Elevate. I'm going to give it over to Goons. I think they're a better mechanically skilled team. I think that they can put it together. I think that they can make a decent run for it. Envious versus Lethal Gaming. Sorry, Ments. I don't think that you can beat Envious. Just statistically better. I think Praise, Toy, Soto, and Fran are gods. I think Fran's going by Mavo again, but that's who I think they'll take that pretty easy. Strictly Business versus Dream Team. Again, can go either way. I gave it over to Dream Team. They've beaten Jake and Yogurt on land before. That's kind of where my logic is going with. Let that happen. We're going to rotate up to the top half. Winners bracket, enemy versus Goons. This is your top four. This is who I think top four will be, depending on how it goes. Again, it's a coin flip either way. This is not an exact science, especially with UE, where I've only got maps and players to go off of. There's not a long storied history here. Goons, if they play well, they probably could upset, but that would require enemy to choke, and I think Ashes will keep them pretty grounded. That shouldn't happen. 2 and 3 team, I think Envious is going to beat Dream Team. Could be an upset. Could happen. Don't think it will. I think it's going to be, at least in the winners semifinals, you're going to have Envious versus enemy. And we're going to skip all the way down here. Losers bracket. Losers bracket's not something that we're going to talk about. We're going to skip over a little bit. Like, some teams may come out of this. The teams that we'll really start watching is where we've started eliminating people, where the lower half of the team, the lower stock in teams is gone. You've got Team Caliber versus Vex. I think Vex is going to lose to that. Just based on experience. They'd end up playing Elevate, who dropped down. I think TK can beat them pretty handedly. And then we're going to get, and I think Team Caliber probably plays top 8. TMG No Name Noobs, I think that Chubbs and Bobby Rice should be able to beat Starbrights. Hopefully, just the way the bracket rolls. I think that E6 will beat them. E6 will make their top 8 there. Trambition, I think that they can beat A1 just based on roster. Strictly Business is probably going to beat them. Whether or not they win up top, win a down low, they're a top 8 team. They'll place top 8 at this event. This is the one part I will talk about, though. Just the way that the bracket falls, one of the top teams isn't going to make it just because they're going to get double eliminated before they get an opportunity to. So the last top 8 team, though I fix it, there is potential down here in the lower half of this little line of brackets where you could have someone from Most Wanted, PR and the Funky Bunch could show up and make a run down the bracket to almost place top 8. This is possible. There's not a lot of stacked rosters up here. So you have to test for that. This could be, if a team falls into this lower bracket, they could make a run for it and make a run for top 8. I see that happening. I think Most Wanted will most likely do it just the way that the rosters fall out. I think Lethal can come and take their top 8 seat, grab a top 8 in it. Do I think that these players are top 8? Maybe not in rosters. I think that's just the way that the bracket's put together. Now, people are going to defend it as, you make top 8, I give you credit. But are you a top 8 team in the league? Debatable. I called top 7 last night. I said, it's hands down. It's pretty close. I can't give you a solid top 8 because there isn't one as of right now. This will at least give me a top 8 to go with as we're talking about things. We'll see how that works out. So then we come into where top eight's competing. We've eliminated everybody else, and it's still best of three until the losers finals. So again, it's down to map count and who shows up and who's running on momentum. Team Caliber would have run 3 matches, or would have run 2 matches prior to this. E6 would have only had 1. Based on run, they can do it, but I could see it going either way. I gave it to TK just on this one because they had a longer run in the losers bracket. Even though I think that Hudson's Eternity, Affinity, like coin flip again, either team can win. Strictly Business versus Most Wanted. I think Most Wanted may be able to take a game, but Nasty's team going forward. Then we're getting to this losers quarters, I think. Yeah. So in losers quarters, Dream Team versus Caliber. I think Dream Team's a better team in that thing. They're younger, have more experience. They would have just been coming off the loss to Envious. I think they can do it. I think that they can at least take that spot. Strictly Business versus Goons. I'm going to give it over to Nasty, even though Nasty and Drix team together at MES, based off history, could happen. And Dream Team versus Strictly Business. I'm going to give it to Strictly Business just because Nasty in a loser's bracket run. This is also the reason why they're here. Nasty, anytime he's come out of the loser's bracket, they put on this amazing stretch of tournament that you just... It's a hurricane of emotion and hype. Like, they can just catch fire and run through the loser's bracket for the rest of the way. I think that they can run that momentum. If Dream Team is sleeping or isn't playing up to their top caliber, done. Enemy versus Strictly Business. This is just based off experience. Enemy should win. Their top 2 team. I'm going to emphasize this. Should win. But they can get upset. So we'll see how that happens. I see Enemy winning it 3-2 because it's finally where we get a best of 5. It's going to go down to all 5 maps. I don't see a blowout anywhere. Finals, I just called it like the heart of an emotional roller coaster that I want it to be. I think that Enemy comes back. They take the game up on Envious. If it goes like this, I don't even know if it's possible. Enemy take a map set off of Envious, and it goes to the deciding best of 5 if it goes to that. If it doesn't, I don't know how they're doing it. But I think that these are going to be your top 2 teams. Like I said, guys, this is my predictions. This is based off rosters. This is not 100% based off of watching all the gameplay because there's a lot of matches. Most of them have not been streamed. Just on experience, I want to err on the side of caution. I'm going to make the safe picks. I think Envious wins this tournament, remains the number 1 seed. They've got the longest running stature right now. They've got, out of the 4 events that they've gone to, they've won 3. That is a big point of contention there. And they also competed at Gfinity and won. Now, a lot of people are going to say it's like an MES event. They went to an international tournament, they competed, they won. That's LAN experience, it's been more recent. I would say that would be, of the bigger tournaments, that would be the one I would give them to. Denial has placed top 2 at almost all of their events. Won the first Pro League, second at the second Pro League, and now they're going into this one, and they placed pretty high at Hype as well, so they were top 8 at Hype, so they're a very good team. I think that they can win either way. It comes down to maps, and I hate that it does that. It's not about mechanical skill, it's not about pretty much anything. It comes down to the maps, the side that you're playing, and how well you perform your strats on it. We're to the point of the game where it is baseline. It's down to who shows up that day and who plays the best. One mistake in this tournament, one mistake can cost you top 8. One mistake can get you eliminated. And that's the really scary with a best of 3 setting. Somebody is going to lose, and they're going to lose hard. With that, guys, I'm Waldo. These are my MLG predictions. I'm going to be back doing some other content as well, talking about the future of Gears of War 4, some of the changes that we're seeing in the competitive scene. and that whole argument of the competitive setting will probably be my next video. With that being said, please like and subscribe. And if you have any questions or hate my bracket, tweet at me, and I'll gladly have a discussion about it. Thanks.